This one from the Bleacher Report, teams trending in the wrong direction at the wrong time, and they say the Cavaliers, from early January to mid-February, no one was hotter than Bickerstaff's bunch. First 19 outings of the new year, 17 wins for the Cavs, a plus 15.9 net rating over that stretch. They've cooled considerably, due in part to mounting injuries, but also rapidly declining efficiency at both ends. And Sam, I think those two things are interrelated. If you're talking, you don't have four guys that are rotational, I would imagine it's pretty reasonable to assume your efficiency is going to suffer pretty significantly. I mean, I'm not a basketball guru like you are, but that just seems to make sense to me.
Yeah, that's missing your all-star and leading scorer hurts enough on its own. But then you throw in, your starting wing and Max Strus. Dean Wade, who's been filling in for Mobley very well this year, especially defensively, when either Mobley's out or when Wade comes in, and he really plays backup when he's not starting. When Dean Wade's not starting, he's playing backup a lot of times, not just Mobley, but Strus and Jared Allen. So, he's playing really all three front court positions. Doesn't score a lot, but he does a lot for you defensively when it comes to defending on the perimeter, Dean Wade. So, all of those, obviously Mitchell and Strus are starters, but, missing Wade, it really kind of throws everything off. I remember a couple weeks ago when Mobley was hurt, I was like, George Niang is starting, not for Evan Mobley, but for the guy who replaces Evan Mobley. So that makes sense that their efficiency isn't quite as good as it had been. And the wins aren't as frequent. What you want to avoid are those really bad losses like Sunday at Miami, where you just didn't show up. You need to avoid that when you're getting so close to the playoffs. You can't be leaking oil, as they say at this time of year. You've got to pull it together. And I think before anybody panics, you got to see what they look like with Mitchell and Strus and lesser to a lesser degree Dean Wade, but I think you got to see what they look like before you get too worked up about it or talk about their efficiency.
You mentioned, and it'll be interesting to see if they sign Marcus Morris to another contract. But if you add Morris, Strus, Niang, and Tristan Thompson, those are guys that they're on the court, in the playoffs, in any type, they're not going to be pushed around. In fact, they're going to do some pushing around. And missing Strus, I think Strus just brings a kind of toughness. And I think they've missed that.
Yeah, he definitely brings an edge. And I think that, you take a look at Marcus Morris now, who they signed to a 10-day deal. His contract is up. This 10-day contract's up Thursday. I'd be really surprised if they don't either sign him to another one or sign him for the remainder of the season, for the very reasons you talked about, Dave, which is he brings an edge, he brings physical play and kind of an attitude. We saw him the other night, and I say that as a positive thing, attitude. Saw him the other night, got thrown out of the game, and it was right after that the Cavs took off. Against the Hornets, kind of been lollygagging and messing around, just not showing any energy, and Marcus Morris gets thrown out, and all of a sudden the Cavs go on this huge run. J.B. Bickerstaff even said after the game, he's a guy who understands the moment, understands what it takes sometimes to light a little bit of a fire under you, and Morris at 34 years old still really has a lot left in terms of that type of play. He plays a playoff style of basketball all season long. So, yeah, not having Strus, they lost a little bit of that edge. Same thing, now that even Mobley's doesn't talk or isn't viewed as real physical defensively. Having him out there really gives you a presence. So, just getting their pieces back, I think, will give them kind of and I would say Jared Allen's been playing more physical this season than he was obviously in the playoffs last year.